Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, My Project Ideas. Today we are gonna make a React.js project and we will be making a random password generator. First of all, let us see the requirements. The prerequisites for this to begin with this project are here. Absolutely, you should know the React.js and have some basic knowledge of CSS, and you can style the components according to that. And you should have the basic knowledge of HTML and JavaScript and the functional components in React. So we will be using functional components. And the tools we are going to use are Vite, Tailwind CSS, and absolutely React.js. So what is this Vite and Tailwind CSS? Let us have a look at them. So the Vite is the next generation front-end tooling here as it is mentioned. So instead of using Create React App, we will be using Vite for building our application. So what is the difference between Create React App and Vite? There are a lot of resources available on the internet for this thing. So the advantage of the Vite over the Create React App is its speed. And the next tool we are gonna using is Tailwind CSS. If you know this basic CSS, then there will be no problem in understanding the Tailwind CSS. So for this project, we will be setting the environment and we will be installing those dependencies. Let us have a look at it. Here are the docs, and we will go in the framework guides, and in the framework guides, of course, we are using Vite, so we will click on the Vite. As you can see here, you can use with any of these frameworks mentioned here. So click on Vite. So here are the steps mentioned, and follow these steps. Now let us look at what should we build and what we will be building. So the random password generator should look like this. It will generate a random string of lowercase letters, uppercase letters, and together with the numbers and special characters. And every time we click on the regenerate button, it will regenerate a new string of password. And also, if we want to copy the string, we should click on copy to clipboard, and now it is copied. Now let's make the project. So the code editor I will be using is VS Code. It is a very popular code editor, and there is no bound to use any other code editor for this purpose. You can use any kind of code editor you want to use, but for this project we will be using VS Code. So let us create new project. Open the terminal and type the command. And here we will be mentioning the name of our project to be something like password gen. Okay, I will give a spacing so that there will be no issue with the naming. Enter. So here we will come up with the options like Vue, React, Preact, Lit, Svelte, and others. So of course we are going to use React, and of course we are going to use JavaScript. So as you can see, the folder is created here. Don't focus on this V tab folder, just focus on this password generation. The boilerplate code is already generated here. So the second, okay, so let's go into the project folder and then type the command npm install so that all the dependencies in our source code generated by this command should install. And let's wait for it. Now all the dependencies in our project are installed. So for running the project, we will be typing the command npm, here in the terminal. I just close this, npm run dev. So it should run the application. As you can see here, it is blazingly fast build speed. So we can go directly with control click to the browser. And here is the port 5174. So the app running was success. As here you can see, it is provided UI. Okay. Now let us code our application. Here we go into the src folder and then go to main.jsx. Here we will remove React strict mode because we don't need it here in this context. And in app.jsx we will be removing all the boilerplate code provided. Just type hello world to check whether it is working or not. Okay, it is working. So we will go to the next step. So the next step is stop the running application in the port. So we will just type Control C in the terminal and it will stop. So now we have to install the Tailwind CSS dependencies here. Okay, as you can see here, there are the commands mentioned. Create your project. So we have already created our project, and now so we will go with the step 2. And for step 2, there are dependencies mentioned, and we will copy all the dependencies and go to our terminal in the VS Code and paste it here. Now let's demonstrate. And there is another command to initiate the Tailwind CSS in our project. So we will be copying that command and just wait for the Tailwind CSS to install in our project. Okay, now let's paste that command to initiate the Tailwind CSS and hit enter. As you can see, tailwind.config.js file is generated in our application. Go to that file, and now in that file we will be copy pasting those file extensions mentioned here, as it is the step 3 of configuring the Tailwind CSS in our project. Just save it. And one another thing I want to make you aware of, that I have my auto save mode enabled, so that every time to save my code I don't have to hit Control S. So you can also enable it for the speedy development. And for the next step, we will be copying these 3 lines of code and pasting it in our index.css as mentioned here. And here is our index.css. We will remove all the code in index.css and paste these 3 lines here. Okay, now it's look good. And what is the next step? As you can see, the next steps are to run the project and test it. So we will run our project and test this thing. Just go to the terminal and type npm run dev. Now as for the blazingly fast speed, it will run without any delay, and we will go to the localhost. As you can see, the hello world is appearing here. And for styling that particular, we will go to our app.jsx, and here in the class we will remove this app and we will type text 2xl and font to be bold and text align center to be text center. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, it is bold and large text. So it is working. Okay, so now we should start making our project. So I will remove this state here. And for our project to build, it will look like this. So here's a box, here's a heading, and these 2 buttons. And for these 2 icons, I will be using Font Awesome. You can find the Font Awesome CDN link here. And from the cdnjs.com, we will be copying the first link here and we will be pasting it in our HTML. So here I find index.html and here I will paste in the head. Okay. So here I have pasted the CDN icon link and now we can use the icons here. So I will go to the icons website, font awesome. So now look at how our app should look like. So for first of all, I will remove all those styles and I will give the whole box to be a padding of 1 rem, which is equivalent to 4 in Tailwind CSS. And the next thing we are gonna do is width to be full and height to be screen, so that it will take the whole height of the screen itself. And in that we will be giving it a flex box. So we will type flex here and it should be flex direction of column, flex col, and then we will align all the items in center. No, maybe not. So I will give the gap between the items to be 2 rem or maybe 3 rem, which is equivalent to 12 in Tailwind CSS. Okay, now let's type the heading. So I will be using H1 for this, and heading we will be typing password generator. Okay, one thing I have to show you is in when using Tailwind CSS, it is not guaranteed that tags will work as they are expected. So this could vary from project to project and your setups. So because we are setting in index.css all the Tailwind things, this should not work as intended. So we have to implement the class names here also. So H1, so there is a doubt that can come up in your mind that why I'm using H1. Instead I can use div here or any p tag. So it is for semantic meaning. The H1 will give the semantic meaning to our project, to our heading. The H1 will give semantic meaning to our heading. So that's why it is important to mention that this is heading and we will write it in H1 tag. So now I will be using text 3XL, font to be semi-bold, and for letter spacing we will be using tracking wider. Okay, now it should look like this. Yeah, fine. It is looking fine. Okay, now second thing, we will be making the box for the password generator. So I will be using a div and I will give the class names to be border of blue, and border blue of here the color are inbuilt in the Tailwind CSS. I will be using border blue 600. And next thing I will be giving is rounded meaning the border radius to be XL. Yes, and the width of our box should be I think 10 rem maybe, and height should be, no, I will not specify any height. Instead I will be giving the padding, and padding should be of 2 rems, which is equivalent to 8. So let's see. So it will look like this. So you can see as it is aligning to the start, we will align it to the center. So here we can mention flex box here and justify center, and for align item center it to be items center. Okay. Okay, I have already mentioned the flex. Instead of changing the items justify center, we can just mention the item center to be align items to the center, because for changing the flex direction to the column, it will change its aspects. So now it looks fine. Okay. And now we will continue our coding. So it should be padding of 8, and I think we should give border width some more. So I will give it to 4. Let's look at it. Yeah, it's looking fine. And next thing we will type some hard-coded string here, like 45 TFG at the rate exclamation 6PQ. Okay, so we also have to give this text some styling, and we can give it to like p tag, and p tag should be have class name of font bold, maybe semi bold, and text to Excel, so that text should appear big enough. And here we will be typing our string, any random string like at the rate 45 QWB47%. Okay, I think it should look fine. Okay, so as you can see, it is overflowing because we have fixed the width of our box. So we can change it from 10 rem to nothing. So now it should look fine. Okay, it is looking fine. And we should give the p tag a permanent width of box, like it should conquer around width of 50%, and remaining 50% will contain our buttons. And so we have to give the explicit width to be 15 rem maybe. It is just experimental. This is just trial and error. You're gonna experiment a lot with this. Okay, so there is a spacing like this. Or maybe 20 rem. I will just 30 rem. Okay, now it is looking fine. Okay, after the p tag, we will be having the box for those buttons. So we will using a div, and for buttons, we will be using the button tag. I will copy it 2 times, and in the type something like copy for copy button, and regenerate for regenerate button. I will be using short form for regen. Okay, it is looking like this. So it is looking like this because of there is no flex in this particular box. So we have to apply the flex box in this particular box. And here we can type flex. Okay, now it should look fine. And there should be a gap of 1 rem. Okay, it is working. And we also have to give the flex box in this particular box containing those 2 buttons. So for that, I will be typing the class name to be flex and gap of maybe half rem. I think it is fine. So this box should it is experimental. Okay, so this box should have width of around also 50%, and inside the box there will be space between those 2 buttons. So we can justify space between that property, which give the spacing between those 2 things, just like this. Okay, now it is good enough. And what if the text overflow, like here? So it should overflow and it will hide our button. So that should be an issue. So here it is. The text is overflowing. So it is hiding our button, copy button. So what should we do now? So there is an inbuilt property in the Tailwind CSS called overflow. So the p tag will not overflow. We should hide the extra overflowing text. So overflow hidden. And the next thing we can do is text ellipsis, so that it would hide the text with 3 dots. So let's look at here. Fine, it is looking good. The text is overflowing, but it shows these 3 dots that it is overflowing. So we can copy. Okay. Now let's copy those copy to clipboard icon and regenerate icon. So what should we do now? We will go to the Font Awesome site and we will search for icons. So we will search for refresh. And for refresh, we will be picking the first icon because, okay, so here we will not be using this React one because to use this, we have to install the whole library of the Font Awesome into our React app. Instead, we should be using this HTML tag of I. So just click on it and it will be copied. And after it is copied, we will copy it in our code on the regeneration one. Okay, it is copied. And for another icon of copy to clipboard, I will be searching copy. And it is the first icon that appear here. I'll be clicking on this and I will be copying it. And we will paste it into our code. Now let's look into our UI, how it is looking. So as you can see, these icons are very small here. So we can give them some scaling like this. For in the button, I'll be typing class. So I will choose both the buttons. And here I will give them to be text size of XL. That's why they should appear large. Now they are large but not large enough. I will just apply 2XL. Okay, it is large enough. Maybe 3XL so that there should be no issue of appearance. Okay, it is large enough. And now I will be doing the same with the another button. Okay, they are looking good. Okay, so there is a lot of space between them. So what we can do is the parent box of these buttons, we can justify around so that the overall space is used properly. Now it is looking fine and we can go to next step. And now we can also add some interaction to our buttons, like when we clicking it in our project, it is scaled on hover and it is just rotating to and fro. Okay, so now let's look at it. For the first button, I'll be using hover, and on hover, I'll be scaling it scale up to 110 maybe. Now let's hover it, and it's scaling not to the great extent, so I will give it 125. Now it's good, I think, but it is not as animated buttery like in this previous one, in this very smooth transition. So there we will be using the transition property. So I will be giving transition all and a duration of 150 milliseconds. Now it will be as buttery as our previous one. Okay. And for this regenerate button, for it to click and animate, we will give the active state to be rotating. Rotate up to 360 degree. Maybe I think it should do. Okay, sorry, there was a typo in the code, so rotate. Now it should work. Okay, so on clicking, we are not getting anything because after rotating in 360 degree, it will come back to this position. So instead, we should try 180 degree. Okay, it is giving signs of clicking, but we will go back to 360. Instead, for animation, we will adding transition to all and duration of 150 milliseconds. So now let's look at this. Okay, so when clicking, it is working like that, and it is also hovering. So now let's look at the next step. How do we generate that random string? So for generating the random string, we would have the three key sets. One key set containing lowercase letters, and another containing uppercase letters, and the third one containing special characters. So now let's make it const key set 1. Maybe let. It should be a string of all the small letters A, B, C, and the key set 2. I will be not typing all of this string. Instead, I will be using key set 1 dot to lowercase, uppercase. And for key set 3, I'll be using the characters like these characters. And oh, so we forgot the numbers. We also have to include the numbers in our password string. So we will be giving key set 4 to numbers. So numbers can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Okay. So here we have defined our key sets. So what should we do now to make this random string from these key sets? Okay, before making those, generating the random string function, we must ensure that on clicking this, the password is generated. So we will make a function, and we will define the function for this button on click. So here in the code, so before setting that function for generating the random string, we will be first making the function for on button click, or for this button and this button. Okay, so now what can we do? So we can do here is we can define on click here for regenerate button, and it will take a function. So now we are giving it a function generate password. Okay, we have passed, but there is no any generate password named function in our project. So let's make it. I will be defining an arrow function called generate password. Okay. So for initially, I will console log this. Console log any string like password, so that I can ensure it is working fine. Let's save it and go here. Open the console and click on it. Yeah, it is working. As you can see here, we have clicked on it 10 times. And for now, we will be making that function that generates the random strings. Okay, so first we will have the answer string to be let generated string to be empty string. Okay, so we will be deciding the range of our string. I mean the length of range of our string. So for every typical password, there is a range of minimum 8 characters to the maximum of 16, maybe 17 characters. I'm not sure about that right now. But for the sake of simplicity, I'll be taking it as 70. So let's decide the range. So I will be using let range is equal to math dot flow. It will give the absolute value of anything. So I will be using at the minimum characters of 8 plus any random from another 8 or maybe 9. So our password can be minimum of 8 characters and maximum of 9 characters. And from here 9 we will be taking any random from 0 to 1. So that is the range of our password, which will be completely random. Okay. So now let's we will divide the range in 4 parts. So for each part we will taking those lower characters, upper characters, those special characters, and these numbers. Okay, so now for this, I'll be taking a for loop, and it will be of length key set 1 dot length and I plus plus. So for every element in the key set 1, I'll be adding generated string plus equal to key set 1 key set 1 from any random index. So for this random we should be picking. Okay, sorry. Here there was a mistake. We should not be going for the whole key set 1 dot length. We will be instead going for range divided by 4. Okay. Because for every fourth part we will be assigning these alphabets to our string. So for this random index to generate, we will define the variable called random. Random here to be math.flow math.random multiply by key set 1 dot length. So this random index can be any number between 0 to the last index of this particular key set, like here. Okay, so just we will be just copy pasting this code for the another key sets. So instead of here, we will be defining key set 2, and here we will be defining key set 3, and here we will define key set 4. And for now, we will be just console.logging that generated string. And for console.log generated string. So whenever you click on the, I have to clear this console and refresh this application. So whenever you will click on the regenerate button, it will give the string. Okay. Every time it is giving the new string. Totally new string generated. And its range is also random and picked up numbers and special characters and uppercase and lowercase characters all are random. Something fishy about this is that they are coming in order, like first the small characters, second the upper characters, third the special characters, and fourth the numbers. So they are in order, so not so random. So also we have to shuffle this string to that extent so it can be called totally random password. Okay, so let us see how can we do that. To do this, we have to shuffle this whole string, and for shuffling that string we will be converting that string into the array, and that array will again join to become that string. First we will convert that string into array and shuffle all the places and indexes, and then again rejoin the string. So how could we do that? So we can define another function for that. So that another function will be shuffle. Shuffle. I think the spelling is correct. My vocabulary is very small. Sorry for that. Shuffle. We can pass our generated string and convert it into the array, like dot split method, and for making the individual elements we will be passing an empty string. So now it will convert all the characters in our string to an array and pass it to the shuffle, and after that we will rejoin it. So we should store it in a variable, or maybe we will let shuffle string. Okay, so the shuffle string will be this array written by the shuffle function, and let's rejoin it by single space. Okay, so let's define this shuffle function up here. So I will be defining it as an arrow function, and then okay, so we are passing a string, array here. Okay, so for shuffle function, first we have to define a for loop, because in this random generated string, for example, like this, for every element we are swapping its position to any random index in that particular string. So let's do it. For that to be random, we will be defining a for loop in which I will give it let I equal to 0 and I should be less than array.length and I plus plus. Okay, and for every index I will be generating any random index to swap with. So let swap index, I will give the name to be swap index, which is math.floor, so that it will give absolute value math.random of random and multiplied by the length of array called key set, not key set, array minus 1, so that it will not give the overflow, because swap index can vary from 0 to length.array index minus 1. So I think we should keep back in brackets also. Sorry, not array, array.length. Okay, now it is looking fine. And for swapping, as you know, we will make a temporary variable called temp, and we will store array of I in it, and we will assign array of I to be array of swap index, and vice versa, array of swap index would be temporary variable. There is also a shortcut in JavaScript for doing this, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just keeping things simple. Okay, so now it is working fine, and we will return this array. Okay, let's see how would be this generated string, or maybe we can console log shuffle string. Now let's see how it is working. Let me clear the console. Okay, I can clear generate. Now it is generating all random string. It is randomizing all the indexes. So now we have our string. So how do we set this particular string generated to this? So we will be using use state hook for this particular thing to set this string to this generated string. So how can we do that? Let's see. In our top of the function, we will define const password set password equal to use state, and we should pass initial state of any password into this. Like we can define here generate response, or maybe any random string like 1 2 3 4 5, or maybe we should click on regenerate. Okay, so it will look like this. We will refresh this. Okay, so every time we are calling the generate password function, we will set this shuffle string to our password. So set password to shuffle string. We don't need this console log here, console.log here. Okay, so remove that. And instead of the random string here in the p tag, we will pass password. Okay, so let's look at it. Yes, it is working as expected. So congratulations, till now we successfully made the random string generator. So now the only remaining thing is this copy to clipboard functionality. So let's make it more interactive and implement its functionality. Okay, go to the code, and for this button I will be defining the on click event to be copy to clipboard. Okay, for this function copy to clipboard, I will be defining it here just above the generate password, const copy to clipboard. It will be an arrow function, and for this we will type navigator dot clipboard dot write text, and the text should be this password. So whenever this password is generated, or okay, so here's the click spelling is wrong. So whenever this password is generated, it is set to this password string here, password state here. So we will be copying the password. Okay, looks good. But to make the button more interactive, we will be adding a little effect over clicking. So when it is active, it should have background color of green, maybe green 400. Okay, So you can see it is not looking good as we should. It is not looking good as it should. So we will give some padding here. Padding to be, of course, 3, and their edges to be rounded. rounded, rounded accent. Now let's look at it. Okay, it is giving the good impression, and it is interactive. So generate any string, and to copy that string, I will click on this. And for example, I want to copy this into the console. Okay, so it is copying it. So congratulations, our project is finished. Now I hope that you understood the working of this code. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel to get more interesting project ideas.